Sumeru is here, and it's time for the pyro archon to commit some arson. But first, let's go over the rules. We can only use amber, and all bows are allowed. Now that we've reviewed our notes, let's see if we can beat Sumeru only using amber. We start our journey in the chasm. Aww. Don't worry, we're not going to be here long. I put this here because I made an oopsie. You see, Amber cannot activate these things through normal means. Her normal attacks, charge attacks, Baron Bunny, and even her ult do not trigger it. So, I thought it wasn't possible at the time, and I took the L and used Traveler. Until I realized at the last key, I could have tried using plunging attacks, which do activate these things. So as a result of this, I will spin the punishment wheel. That's supposed to be the pyro flower. This one sucks. 1, 2, 3.
One debt to society later.
I shot 1,340 arrows. We head inside the chasm, and I get stuck inside a wall by a Geovishap, which was not a fun experience. What a great game. Then we do the Dainsleif quest and watch Half Dan sacrifice, which leads to us defeating the remaining Abyss members and watching the end of Genshin Impact if it was in 2007.
So, no need to revive the homeland.
So after some time in the Trial Grounds of Thunder, we hit AR-35 and go inside the Ascension domain, which was not a problem for Amber, because her Baron Bunny and determination made everyone tremble in fear. We also got some wishes, and this happened. Alright, wishes. A 5-star? What? Why? Why? And we're still not gonna use her. But now, we can actually start Sumeru. We meet up with Kale and talk to her about some character named Amber.
Don't worry.
We clean the statue, and Kale accidentally drops some fan art. This makes Paimon upset because she ships Amber with Eula, which makes her commit the second worst crime banned at the Geneva Convention, the Paimonial Wrath.
That's it! Paimon won't forget this! It's time for some Paimonial Wrath!
Which causes Kale to freak out and run in a hurry. We find out that the Paimonial Wrath caused a great amount of damage to Kale, so we head out with Tighnari to break some bad. As we're breaking, we see a Withering Zone, which is not good for Tighnari's business, so we head off to stop it. After stopping the pollution with Arson, we head back to the village and find out that Hypatia broke too much bad, so we have to go help her.
Pocket sand.
As a result of the pocket sand, we got sent to this place, and this place is a domain, so we have to clear it. We collect all of the leaves needed to open the door, and we fight this guy, who I can't take seriously anymore because this is one of the top guys of the Abyss, and here he is fighting Baron Bunny. We clear our eyes of the sand, and we meet up with Tighnari to say our goodbyes, because it's time for us to head into Sumeru City and go to Apple headquarters. We enter the city and obtain our AirPods, which give us access to knowledge and people's personal information.
It seems all we need to do is...
After failing to find information about Lesser Lord Kusanali, we head over to Port Ormos. We reach the port and listen in on Tariq's conversation to find out that they know the location of the goods, so we give them all of our money. Then we get interrupted by the tall male playable character who helps us out in this region. This tall male is Al Hatham, and he calls these guys bullies and challenges them to a fight outside of school next week at 4 o'clock. They agree, and we get our money back. We talk to Dory and pick out the best brain cans and test out one of the new combat cans, which only gives us a marginal increase, which makes sense because it's hard to level up once you've reached perfection. But that also means we just got Doried. We head back into the port and fight the bullies who tried to take our lunch money earlier. This was just like an average school fight. It had the knives, the bows, and the explosions. After a minute and a half, we won the fight, and then it's time for Act 2. We spend the day with Dunyarzad, and the next day, and the next day, and the next... You know exactly where this is going. Steve Jobs interrupts the dance, and the day restarts. This happens for a minute until we see a child.
Another target tracked down by Outrider Amber.
The child then tells us that this is all a dream, so now we have to wake up whoever's dreaming. And I sure hope it's not Azathoth, am I right, guys? It's not our #1 suspect, Ferris, so we decide to take our anger out on some fine young gentlemen. This fight, just like most of the other fights in this Archon quest, is nothing special. It's essentially just us fighting treasure hoarders who mean nothing in the eyes of God. We then talk to Nilu and tell her to wake up, which is the end of Act 2. Next, we go back to fight the Pyro Regisvine a couple of times. This time, it only took about 12 minutes for each fight, and a lot less than 1,340 arrows to beat them. Thought that was a 5-star for a second. I was about to lose my mind. Now we can go back to Act 3. After performing the Herculean task of talking to women, Lesser Lord Kusanali frees the people of their AirPods and we ascend to level 70. Next, we leave the city to do what we came to Sumeru for, arson. But as we begin our fire, some Forest Watchers come in to stop us. After this entanglement, we head over to Party City to learn about Scaramouche's backstory, which I will summarize in 3 words. Pinocchio, but edgy. Then we head into the desert to fight some wolf enemies. For Act 3, we work with the tall female NPC who's supposed to help us out in this region, Dia, who brings us to her former friends so we can beat them up for her. Next, we join Alhaitham on his trip to the hospital, in which we fought a Geo-Biggie Churl in a fight that I probably should not have won. And then we reach the Dendro Pillar. Can Amber activate this? Yes, but I didn't know it at the time. I could have used Dendro Traveler to do this, but I know what you want. You don't want me to use Dendro Traveler, you want me to use Kale. But that requires me to clear floor 4 of the Abyss only using Amber. You know what? I'll do it, cause I like you. Just don't get parasocial about that. So after a grueling 25-minute session of dealing with Hydro Mages, why Hoyoverse, we completed floor 4 and got our Kale, which allowed us to clear the puzzles. Boomerang! With that little excursion finished, we can head back to the pyramid to finish Act 4. This place was very annoying as Amber, mainly because Baron Bunny was working as intended. It's just so reliable, and it did a really good job of distracting the enemies while they charged into me head first. Now we can start Act 5 and collect some achievements. Why is there no collect all button for this? Oh, 4-star Amber, 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 Amber. After getting our Hazo, we fight some bandits in the sand. Next, we head to Party City to meet with the Tall Lady. Tall Lady then drags us to the port so we can do some... Once we realize we've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived by the Doctor, we head back to the party. This was a very weird situation. In my world, it began raining at this time, but for this part of the story, the combat area is not allowed to rain. I think I'm not really sure about that whole situation. Whenever I went up the ramp, the rain would come down, and since it's Hydro, it would remove the Pyro Agent shield, which of course I took advantage of. But when I went back down, the rain would stop. So I now had control over the weather. For the Geo Agent, I learned that Baron Bunny actually does a lot of damage to its shield, but there was only one problem. It would never hit it. After a truly awful 13 minutes, we went back into Sumeru City so we could finish the story. As everyone sieges into Apple, we decided to go help
Lesser Lord Kusanali
with destroying Scaramouche. Inside of Scaramouche's factory, Amber did have a much better time than Goku, mainly because she was able to easily defeat the Cryo Agent for some unknown reason, but that good time did not last long because they were Pyro Agents. This did slow us down, but we were able to finish this domain in the same amount of time it took Goku to defeat the Cryo Agent, which leads us to Scaramouche. For the first phase, we beat it by not doing anything, and for the final phase, we beat it by also really not doing anything, because our arrows couldn't really reach Scaramouche, and there was no way Baron Bunny was going to hit it. Amber could actually destroy the turrets, which was a rare privilege that I get to have when doing these challenges. After Scaramouche, we head into the thoughts of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata. Inside this place is what were to happen if Amber were to commit all of her arson. All of these burnt plants, floating islands, wolf clan members, electro biggie churls, and even a boat would show up after her path of destruction. And as we journey further into the mind, we come across the real body of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, who persuades Amber Amber to not commit a federal crime. Amber disagrees with this idea, but Rukkhadevata convinces her to go to Fontaine to talk about this issue. After 13 hours, 42 minutes, and 17 seconds, Amber beats Sumeru, which puts her total runtime up to 39 hours, 56 minutes, and 26 seconds. But now, we must wait for Amber to reach the nation of Fontaine so she can debate with Focalor about the legal application of arson.